Good afternoon. I'm Laura Zervos, and I'm a registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist. And I'm happy to be here today to provide some nutrition content and a nice, fun cooking demonstration for Lending Hearts. Really happy to be here. We've done so much so far this year, and today's no different. We have 4 recipes for you. I think you'll find them fun. And I always try to find recipes that are seasonal or have to do with, whatever is going on that month, whether it's dads and grads, bridal showers, that time of the year, or, holidays. Last time we did meals that travel well because we were anticipating the summer picnic season. Today, we're going to do some recipes that are cool because there's much of the country's in a heat wave right now. So what about some cooling recipes for you so you don't heat up your kitchen? And I'm really excited too because these are some new ingredients. We don't always use these ingredients. I always try to discuss or to bring in principles of the Mediterranean eating pattern, which is the number one anti-inflammatory eating pattern. And the basis of the eating pattern is eating our food with our family and friends and enjoying that time, being mindful, not eating in our car, at a desk, on the run, standing up, those kind of things, being mindful. And the other thing is, as we think about the next part of the eating pattern, is those 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. A variety, eating the colors of the rainbow. I always say emphasis on vegetables because of depending on your goals, they are lower carbohydrate, lower sugar, high in fiber. Not to say that there's not some excellent fruit. We'll be using some of those today. Also, lean proteins. Fermented dairy, we're going to be using that today. And one that I always try to introduce to you is the use of fresh herbs and spices. And today we have some ones that we don't always use. So excited about all of this. And we'll get started now. And some of the things I have prepared ahead of time because I really wanted to give you the best, the optimum results. And I will tell you how to make any modifications, but let's get started. Our first recipe is it's a no-bake yogurt parfait with berries and almond crunch. So that almond crunch has to get started right away. So let's go do that first. And I'm just going to put the heat on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of coconut oil, and we're going to add our oats and our nuts. So let's do that now. We have about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. Let me show you let's show you the prep for this. So you know what to expect. I have my cinnamon here, my dishes that we're going to put it in, some Greek yogurt, about 2 cups, 2.5 cups, 1.5 cup, 2 cups of berries, sorry about that, some honey, some almonds, and we also have our oats and cinnamon. So let me go ahead and add this to our skillet, get that going. And we are going to just heat that up and we're going to stir in our oats and our almonds. So let me get a nice wooden spoon to do that. Get our oats and our almonds, and that's all melted. And we just want to get this coated. We want to get this coated, and then we're going to add our honey to it, and then we're going to let it cool. This is going to be our topping. So when you toast these, that just really brings out the flavor versus eating the raw oats. And I think you'll really like this. Plus the almonds are going to get nice and toasty. Let's see. So this is going to be a nice refreshing dessert. Let me just move everything over here. And I didn't measure out the honey. Sometimes we lose more honey when we try to measure it out. So I try to use it or try to measure it just as we are going to put it in that part of the recipe. So let's stir it around a little bit more. And it doesn't take long to toast these. And they do get very fragrant when you do that. So again, apart when we think about that Mediterranean eating pattern, also it includes having, maybe 2 to 3 servings of nuts too per week. I like to use the almonds. I like walnuts. Walnuts are very high in the omega-3 fatty acids. They're the only nut that does. But almonds are fantastic too because they have a really balanced nutrition profile. When I say balanced nutrition profile, I'm talking about the net carbohydrates, the protein, and the fat. So when you look at the profile of the almonds, it's a really naturally balanced food, and that's why people love them. So that's why you see them so much on eating patterns. So, oh, this smells so fragrant. And, if you don't like almonds, you could always use walnuts, other things you could do. Now I'm going to just set this right here because I'm going to add the honey to it next. We could move these aside. I'm just going to show you, put our yogurt and berries aside for now. This so you could see. And what I'm going to do now is my honey. And we're also going to put our cinnamon in here too. See my spoon. And you could use maple syrup if you prefer that taste. I always like to use honey. Go. Add some cinnamon. You could do as much as you like, but I think that really adds. And also, cinnamon is a anti-inflammatory spice. So also known to improve glucose levels. If you have a problem with gluten, oh, that smells so good. Between the fragrance, we're just going to let that cool, and I'm going to set everything aside because we want to have that cool when we add our next item. And let me just pull our other pot forward because we're going to start on our next dish. Okay, so let's set this aside while that cools. Now, also today, we're using a lot of plant-based ingredients, and we're not using too many proteins. We are going to use some, and I'll tell you about those. So we have more time to talk today about technique. So I thought we would spend some time there. Sometimes we don't have time to do that, and I have to do a lot of prep ahead of time. So today I did not do that. So I want to tell you about one thing that we're going to do. We have a farro salad, and it has sugar snap peas in it. So before class, I trimmed the peas. I took all the and if you don't know what that looks like, Sarah, for example, so if you pull off this edge, it just gets that little string right there, put next to my shirt so you could see it. But I did try to do most of these. Here you go, another one. Okay, so you want to remove this. Just gonna sit here, put it here because it's just like a tiny piece of hair, and that's exactly what it's going to taste like if you don't remove them. So it's a good idea to take them off of the peas before you do that. Okay, so I did that. I guess I didn't do all of them. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to blanch these because they're in our salad. While they can be eaten raw. In our salad, we just want to get them tender crisp. So that's going to involve blanching them. What blanching does is it preserves It partially cooks it. There's two processes. We're going to immerse it in boiling water for just 2 minutes. Then we're going to take it out and we're going to add it to an ice bath, and that is called shocking it. That stops the cooking. So we're not fully cooking it. It's like a partial cook. So it's going to make it nice and tender. It's going to seal in the flavor and also seal in the color. Used to maybe 20 years ago, you would see a lot of people adding baking soda to this because they found that adding that base would bring out the brightness of the green, but it also yields a very mushy product. So I don't recommend doing that. I think it's just if you time it right, and we're going to pay attention to these so we don't overdo it, it'll turn out very nicely. So I'm going to show you what I've done here. This is just ice, just getting it ready, and I'm going to add some water to this. When the peas come out, we're going to put them there. So we just have our ice bath. We have our peas. Okay, so I'm going to drop them into our boiling water. And I'm going to watch them for 2 minutes. And I'll get our colander ready. And I also have our my strainer too, because I'm just going to take them out of that way versus emptying the whole pot of hot water. We're just going to scoop them out of there. And that it's more efficient when you're doing that. If you're doing large batches, like if you're blanching tomatoes for canning, if you're blanching, if you grow a lot of green beans or any kind of vegetable that you want to, this is important. If you want to freeze to preserve your foods, blanching is an excellent option for you. So what I would recommend is if you have an extra crop of green beans or something like that, or if they're on sale at the store, you could go ahead and blanch them for 2 minutes, put them in the ice bath, and then go ahead and pat them dry. You could leave some water on there, and then I would recommend putting it on a flat baking sheet. And from there, stick it in the freezer, let it get some nice ice, get it nice and cold so it doesn't turn into a big block whenever you're freezing it. And then whenever you take it out, they'll all be apart and they won't be one big clump. So lay it on a sheet pan, let it get those initial ice crystals on it. Maybe it might take about 10 minutes at the most. Then put it into your plastic bag or whatever type of container you like to use. And that'll be good whenever you're ready to use it. I would just recommend at that point, you could roast them, you could steam them, you could put them in an air fryer, anything that you would like to do, they'll be ready for you, and that'll preserve that flavor. Sometimes people recommend doing that with corn as well. Okay, our 2 minutes are up. So I'm going to go get that. Let's take my calendar. I just set my calendar here while we were talking. So I have my ice bath, and I'm just going to scoop my beans out of here. And when you want these in your salad, some of the vegetables that are a little bit tougher, this is a good option for them. Show you. So we just put them in here, it shocks it. They're ice cold, they're no longer hot. And they're bright green. So we didn't need to add that baking soda to it. They're nice and green. I'm just going to go ahead and put them in a colander just to drain them. Get our ice out. And typically I would just pour this out, but I'm just showing you here. Set that aside. Pour our water, and I'm just going to let these dry, and I'm also going to pat them dry because they're going in our salad. We don't want to dilute our dressing. And they're still, did you hear that? They're still tender crisp. Still got some ice cubes in here. All right, we're just going to set this aside. Okay, So what I had before class, I went ahead and I cooked our farro, and we've used farro before. It's one of those ancient grains. It has a nutty, chewy taste. When we think about the grains, it's different than rice and pasta, but it's a very nice addition. And you don't have, what I like about farro is it's a nice addition to your salad or to your dish or whatever you're making. And it doesn't have to be the star. It could just have a small role and it goes very far. It has an excellent nutrition profile. It's high in the B vitamins. So here it is. Let me show you what that looks like. And this is our, we're going to put some herbs in here and our snap peas and our feta. So what we're going to do next is we have our blanched peas, and then we have our, I did some radishes. And I cut these before class. Well, missed one. Radishes. And some cucumber. We're gonna add our snap peas. How nice and bright and green they are. You could use snow peas, you could use snap peas, whatever's available to you. But right now, it's still spring. Well, we just turned summer, but it's still spring vegetables are still in, like asparagus and radishes and the pea family. Let's add our herbs. We have the parsley. And last class, we made a pesto that was just delicious, and that was also using the parsley. And we're also going to use mint in this. So let me just set this aside. And we chop our mint right here. It's a little bit closer. And I just have some mint from my garden. Just picked, oh, does this smell good? As soon as you agitate it, you could really smell. And I have two different kinds of mint. I have a flat leaf and I have a curly leaf. There's so many varieties of mint. If you want to add some to your garden, it is invasive. It will take over. So make sure you put it in an area that you don't mind that it takes over. I have mine in two places. I have it in a pot that comes back every year, and I also have it under my side porch where it gets just the right amount of sun, and I don't mind that it takes over because I sit there in the evening and it's just a small place that it could grow and you could really smell it. And that's all. Just a nice little chop there. And we're going to add this, and then we're going to make a nice little dressing here. So let me show you. What we're going to do is we're going to take our olive oil. And I have, if you remember, every time we work with an olive oil, oh, I didn't put our feta on here. Every time, I'm gonna, you know what? I think I'm gonna dress it and then do our feta. Every time we do our olive oil and lemon dressing, we always do equal parts olive oil and lemon juice. So it's 2 tablespoons of each. And we're just going to whisk that together. And we're going to add a little bit of Dijon. And if you remember, just like the honey, whenever I get to the Dijon for our recipes, I just do it right then. Because you're going to, if I try to get this, put this in something and then try to get it out of here, I'll be scraping and we'll lose half of it. So I just typically, and you want to make the mustard oil help it emulsify. Always an ingredient in a classic vinaigrette. And salt and pepper. Always use fresh ground black pepper for this. And a pinch of salt. and it made a nice emulsification. And let's see, I'll go ahead and put the feta over. Let's add our feta. We have about 2 ounces of crumbled feta. And we're just going to give it a nice toss. This is a beautiful dish. You could take this. Oh, I love that. You could use flat leaf parsley. You could use curly parsley. You could add other vegetables if these aren't your favorites, but I really like these. It's a nice spring dish, nice for this hot weather that we're having too. And what I was talking about with the farro, you're not going to get a huge portion of it, whenever you take a serving, but you could see you're going to get a taste with every bite, and that's what you want. All these fresh vegetables. We have our cheese, and we're just going to drizzle this over here, and then we'll toss it again. Just going to set this aside. If the farro soaks up all of your dressing, but if you're taking this somewhere or you're making it ahead of time, you could always add a little bit more olive oil and lemon juice. I think it should be fine. And that's our first dish, and that just looks, that's beautiful. And I like using this. I pick this dish. I typically don't mix in the same dish that I'm serving in, but for time's sake, I wanted to do that. Plus, this kind gets very nice and cold, so it's nice to take if you're going to a picnic or somewhere and you want this to stay cold. So, and this could be served warm too, but I think cold is kind of the better option here. Okay, our next dish is a grilled halloumi and peach skewers. So halloumi is a cheese. It is an unripened hard cheese, and it comes from Cyprus. And it's one of those standards. So if it like Champagne only comes from the true Champagne is the Champagne region of France. Cyprus only halloumi could come from, or it could only come from Cyprus. So that's the way I should say it. But let's get this. So our ingredients were, and it has what's nice about halloumi and working with halloumi, and I was going to make our next dish with maybe chicken or shrimp, and I think we do that all the time. So I thought, why don't we use something else, a vegetarian option? And what's nice about halloumi is it has a very high melting point, so it'll hold its shape. So you could try to grill other cheeses, but it's not going to keep its shape like this does. So I have peaches, and I have halloumi, and you could either grill or broil these. I highly recommend grilling them. You can broil them if grilling is not an option for you. So before class, I soaked some wooden skewers in water, and I cut my peaches. I have some bigger pieces here. You're just going to skewer them on here. This is the halloumi. And what's nice about the halloumi in this dish is, well, I said it does have that higher melting point. It's going to hold its shape. It's also salty, so it's going to enhance the flavor of the peach, and it's going to contrast very well. This would make a really nice side dish, or like an accompaniment to, you could either have these on skewers and have them as an appetizer, or if you were making any type of shrimp, chicken, even a beef or pork, this would be really nice on the side. Not even as a garnish, but just, as an accompaniment to the plate. So this is really nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, think my brush is over there. We're going to brush them with olive oil and then put them on the grill. So let me set these aside. And with that, we're going to make a little dip with that. So our dip is going to be really nice. We're going to take a half cup of Greek yogurt. using a lot of yogurt today. And that's, the fermented dairy is a big part of the Mediterranean eating pattern. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of fresh lime juice and a teaspoon of honey. Let me get that honey out again. Okay. Don't want to waste any of this. This aside. Okay, and then we're also going to do some fresh mint. So everything, we had a lot of fresh mint today. And I always remove it from the hard stem. Nobody wants to eat that stem. Smells so good. It's very aromatic. And another thing that we're going to be using some basil pretty soon. Mint and basil are from that same family. You notice the leaf is very similar. The lime juice will help keep this from turning brown. And we're just going to add a pinch of salt. Give that a stir. And that makes a really nice minced yogurt dips to put on our grilled halloumi and peach dish. So since before class, I wanted to grill these. So I went ahead and just brushed them with olive oil, and then I grilled on high for 2 minutes on this, probably on 3 sides. So you could see how it got nice and caramelized. This is going to be very sweet and delicious. And then I'm going to grill that other one later for us, but I would just go ahead and you could either serve this on the side, you could just dollop it over, whatever you would like to do, but that's going to make a really nice side dish. And could you imagine just a whole platter of these, or one of the skewers on and you see how the halloumi just kept its shape. It's nice and browned. It's going to be soft on the inside. It's a little crusty on the outside. It's just perfect to go with the peaches. And we are just a little bit ahead of the peach season here. But they are, once you grill them, all of that caramelization takes place, and it does increase the sweetness. So even with the peaches that you have that aren't the peak ripeness, they're still going to come out well. And probably the ones that are very soft are not going to work for you. So your peaches, let me see if I have any around here. Thought I saved some to show you. They need to be nice and firm and not necessarily already like fully ripened where they're too soft. They're going to drip all over the place, and they're not going to grill nicely or hold their shape. But now's a good time to do this. So that's really nice. And another thing that might be nice to do with this as well would be pineapple. Pineapple is also going to hold its shape really well, and that grills very nicely too. So that's our second dish. Wow, lots of colors over here. I just love that. All right, our next dish, let's just move that. So again, back to halloumi. It comes from Cyprus in the Mediterranean, and it's a little bit salty. It's unripened. It's going to go well with your dishes. It has a high melting point, so it's not going to lose its shape. And it is just a nice addition to any of your meals. And I like it too because since it does hold its shape like that, it does give you like that protein, like you are eating like a typical, chicken or beef or something like that because of how firm it is. Okay, and then our next dish is another one that a lot of people eat in the summer. It's a little bit of a twist. It's a gazpacho, and gazpacho originally started in Spain and in a region called Andalusia, where it's very hot, especially in the summer. And typical or not typical, authentic gazpacho is always like a chilled tomato soup. And we're not going to do that today. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a chilled melon soup. So, but what's called this is going to be our cucumber melon gazpacho. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade out cutting boards because I want to show you a few things first. Like I said, today we have a little bit more time for technique. So let's get our melon cut and get everything started over here. And I will show you our prep for this. You can use you could use honeydew or cantaloupe, whatever you like better. See what my cutting board wants to sit. I am using honeydew today, and I just thought that would be a nice addition because we're using cucumbers, we're using basil. I just thought that'll be really, it'll come out really pretty too, in addition to being delicious. So we need 2 cups of this honeydew. We're also, today is like a really fun day. We have so many cucumbers. We're going to use 2 cups of cucumbers. It's an English cucumber, so I didn't have to remove the seeds. If you're using a regular cucumber, I would suggest scooping out all the seeds because you don't want them in here and it's going to make it very watery. That's why I use this one. No seeds, and it's not going to have that water content. Lime juice again. So we have a lot of lime juice today. Also, just a dollop of Greek yogurt. You don't have to use it. And we are also going to put some basil in here. So we're going to, I just have probably about a half, maybe a third of a cup of fresh basil leaves. So let's get started. I'm going to adjust my camera. If you remember, if you were with me a long time ago, we had a whole session on cutting fruit and how to, pick fruit. So when I pick a honeydew, I always look for a lot of this net. Oops, got something on here. I think that was the sticker where it was from. Oh, first I should back up. You always want to wash your fruit. I already washed this before class and dried it. And I like to do that because it's been handled. I did look at the label. It is from USA, but it could have been from very far away. And it's touched by many hands and many handlers. So I think it's best to do it. You never know, there could have been, who knows, flies, insects, whatever. So let's just wash it first, because when we don't, whenever we cut, we're introducing any of that bacteria that was on the outside of the fruit to the inside of the fruit. Typically, we are not cooking fruit. So that's why you could see a lot of contamination issues with melon and with fruit in general, if you don't wash it, or anything with, I recommend washing your watermelon, washing your avocados, all of those, because typically we're not cooking those things, and they do have that rind. So let me adjust my camera. I just want to show you some quick tips for cutting this. What I like to do, and I always tell you to create a flat spot first so you don't get hurt. So if you, I think it's best to start one end. And if you're not comfortable, if you don't have the strength to do that, you could always, if you have a sharp knife, you could just give it a hack like that. Okay. And do that. Then I like to set it down. Oh, and I was talking about getting a ripe one. Okay, hold on. So if you see here, there's a lot of this, it looks like a netting on here. It's, boy, what would be the best word? You see it a lot on cantaloupe as well, but you could see how it's starting to do that. That's telling me that it's going to be pretty ripe. And now you'll start to see melons already now, and they'll be in season till fall. And it smells wonderful. So I like to just take my knife and start at the top. See, it's not going anywhere on me. So take my knife, start at the top, let it guide right here along the rind. Very little waste. If you miss a piece, you could always go back and get it. Let me see, I hope you could see this. That one was a little bigger than I wanted, but that's okay. Just trying to get the right angle for you. think we're good there. Let's check the other side, make sure I didn't miss anything, and we are good. Okay, then cut it in half. Right, then I'm going to take a spoon and let me just, that is going to be my measuring cup for that. Let me just scoop it into here for you. This also tells me it's going to be very sweet. When it separates like this, when you see that and there's some of this white, this is tells me this is going to taste like pure sugar. And our serving size, when you're talking about eating, our 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, serving size for honeydew or the melons is about a cup. And that would have 15 grams of carb. It would have no fat, no protein, and about 60 calories. And it would probably have, if it has 15 carbs, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 13 grams of sugar. The recommended daily amount of sugar, of added sugar, is 100 calories per day. That works out to be around 25 to 30 grams, depending on your weight. But anyhow, and we talk about the sugar that's in fruit, because this comes up a lot. And what I like to say is that honeydew is a great choice, right? Cantaloupe's a great choice. Watermelon's a great choice, loaded with lycopene. We have the vitamins A, some of the B vitamins. It's a great fruit. So anyhow, at the end of the day, though, if you were to have this whole melon, and I'm going to tell you how much, we're going to cut up half of it because we need 2 cups for our recipe. If you were to have all of that every day, your sugar intake could be well over 60 grams. So while it is good, at the end of the day, it could be too much of a good thing. So you want to be careful. I mean, it just depends what your nutrition goals are. But just to be aware of that there can, I'm going to show you how I'm cutting this. Then I lay this on its side, and I typically go like this. And depending what I'm doing, if I'm putting it on a fruit tray, I'll cut a little bit thinner. Our recipe, we just need to dice it because we're going to put this in the blender next. So I'm just going to chop it roughly. And we need 2 cups for our recipe. Gonna go in the blender. So, okay. So I'm at a little over 2 cups already. All right. So you could see that would be, it's probably this size honeydew was probably at least 5, close to 6 cups. So 6 times 15, if you were to eat the whole thing, and sometimes people will tell me, oh, I ate the whole honeydew, that would be 80 grams of carbohydrate. Fine, if that's within your calorie goals and that's within your carbohydrate goals and your sugar, it's up to you to make that choice. But just to know that is, it can happen. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't have cookies, pies, cakes, but still at the end of the day, this is sugar. There's other redeeming good qualities in cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, and all fruit. But this is definitely one of the lower fiber ones. So I just wanted to show you how I cut that because, and I do my watermelon the same way. I will cut the edges off like that. All right, let's move that. This is all going to go in the blender, so it's about to get very noisy, but it's very easy and it comes together very quickly. We have our lime juice, dollop of yogurt, our basil, and I have my blender. I had some questions before when I have made this about using the food processor. It might work too, that might be an option for you if you don't have one of these. Maybe you might have to do smaller portions. Maybe you want to give it a whirl and then drizzle in some of the the lime juice. But for us today, we're just going to do it all together. Okay, so here's just going to show you our cup here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add our cucumber. And that's 2 cups. And we're going to add our melon, our lime juice, fresh squeezed, our basil. It's basically putting it all in here. And again, a pinch of salt. And that was only just a few shakers. All right, so gonna get noisy. I'm gonna keep pulsing. Take a look at this. And what I love about this is very hydrating, rich. Oh my goodness, it smells amazing. Rich in antioxidants, naturally low in calories, right? With the cucumber base too. Pour that out. And I'm just pouring it out to show you. We have a very nice oh my goodness, is that beautiful? And then I would probably garnish it with some basil. I would recommend refrigerating it for at least 1 hour to get a nice chill on it. This is perfect in summer because, like I said, very hydrating, very refreshing, just a great choice and low in calories too. So, smells delicious. It just smells healthy. I just love that. So I'm going to set this aside and we'll get on to our next dish. Also that I wanted to get back to the halloumi. It's also a good calcium choice. I should have pointed that out. And, in the dish in general, the peaches have a lot of fiber and antioxidants. Let's get on to our next little treat that we have. And I'm really excited about this because I want to provide some nice treats for my family, but I want them to be good, right? I don't want always to be baking a cake or brownies or muffins. So it's nice to have, especially on a weeknight, right? We don't want to, for no special reason, just have cake or something like that. So I like to make some really nice alternatives for them. I've told you in the past, I like to be the one to bring the healthy dessert or the healthy side. So let's get started on that. And we already made our base. So let me adjust here. We have our dishes. We have our yogurt. And I'm going to get a scoop. And I'll tell you why. I like to just have a scoop because, you rely on me for some good nutrition information. So if the nutrition information isn't correct, if it's not to portion size, it's not going to do you any good. So it's very good it's a good idea to always measure. So, we have 4 equal portions. So let me put this down for you and let's get our cool topping over here. And it's very sticky and very hard to come off here, but that's what we wanted. It's going to make a nice little crust on that. So I'm just going to set that up there. And we're going to lay our yogurt and then our berries and put the almond crunch on top. So I'm just doing this just to make sure that they all have the same amount of yogurt. And a half scoop, half scoop, half scoop, half scoop. So I have 4 equal portions. Okay. Berries, let's get something to do those too. I have blueberries and strawberries. You could do any fruit that you like. And what I love about the berry family and why the berry family gets so much good press is because it is when we look at the nutrition, so we just talked about the nutrition in honeydew, right? And we said that 1 cup had 15 grams of carb, and it probably has about 10 to 13 grams of sugar. Well, and the fiber is probably, I'm guessing, under 5. The beauty of the berry family, let me get I used this before. Let's try to use this. I'm going to break this up with my fingers. The beauty of the berry, we're looking at the carbs and this is so, oh, wow. They're going to love this. Nice and crunchy and sticky with honey. And again, just oats and almonds, coconut oil, and a little bit of, I think we're pretty equal on those. Okay, back to the nutrition. The berry family has 15 grams of carb, or let's talk about raspberry specifically. 15 grams of carb per a heaping cup. Then it has 8 grams of fiber and 4 sugar. Okay, when we look at an apple or a banana, let's use a banana, half a banana, about 2 to 3 ounces. Also 15 grams of carbohydrate. I'd like to give you the all of the fruit in the, instead of adjusting the carbs, just to tell you what size the portion is that gives you 15 grams of carb. So that would be about 2 to 3 ounces of a banana, 15 grams of carb. It's exactly opposite. It is about 3 or 4 grams of fiber or less, and a lot higher in sugar, around 10 grams of sugar. So that's why we always encourage the berry family, because of the fiber content, because of it's lower on the glycemic index. It makes it a good choice. It's an excellent, it's going to go a long way to keep us full. It's loaded with antioxidants. So it's just a great choice, no matter how you look at it. So I always encourage my clients to have the berry family. That should be your fruit of choice. So anyhow, look how beautiful these look. So we have our little parfaits here, and they get refrigerated. Okay. Oh, well, I can bring everything over now. So that's everything that we have made. It's just a cool protein-rich dessert, with some good healthy fats. And we don't need to put the oven on for that. So that's a really nice one for the summer too. And again, the peaches, the peach and halloumi dish can be done outside. The farro, we just cooked that on the, we cooked that, everything else blanched, but we didn't have to get the oven on for that nice side. Our gazpacho, our melon gazpacho, that was all in the blender. So just a lot of nice cool dishes that can be a part of your summer pattern, your repertoire. Let's get everything here. Wow. So there you go. Wow, look at all this. So the herbed farro salad with snap peas and feta, our no-bake yogurt with berries and almond crunch, our cucumber melon gazpacho with lime and basil, and our grilled halloumi with peaches, and our mint lime yogurt dip. So, and again, I said we could do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a little, could either go like that, offer it on the side. Do I have some more mint around here to do some garnishing? I think I have just a lot of stems. I wanted to save some for us. Oh, here it is. So we could go through and put some on our, like to just put a little nod to what is in the, looks nice there. Always looks nice on a dessert. It smells so good too. Every time I pinch a piece off, it just releases so much aromatics. There you go. Okay, so there's all of our dishes for today. Um, and what did I want to say about our farro? A lot of crunch. You could take it anywhere. Let's talk also when we talked about portion size too. So I get this a lot when people want to figure out their recipes. First of all, you have to think about everything that is in here, right? Instead of trying to figure it out for one serving, I would try to estimate like what is all. If you were to come to me and ask me to do this for you, I would ask you for all the ingredients, like the cup of farro that was uncooked, 2 cups of radishes, 2 cups of snow peas, a half cup of crumbled feta, the parsley, the olive oil, the lemon juice, and all of those. And then I would see how many portions. So I would actually take another scoop, which is a good idea. There's 2 ways. I would either take a scoop and see how many scoops I get, and then that scoop is your serving size. Whether you have 2 or half of it, you have it, what 1 scoop is. The other thing that you could do is you could put it in something that is measured, like our measuring cup, or I think this has, there's some, you can't see the lines, but this is graduated. It tells us how many cups that is. You could also put it in there, or, a takeout container that is a quart serving. Put it in there, see how many quarts you get. And then whenever you need like a cup, then it's much easier to figure out that way. But you want to look at that total yield and divide it that way, because sometimes to just say that you had a spoonful, and we know that portion control can really help us achieve our nutritional and our wellness goals. So trying to keep an idea of what you're having. And back to the fruit example, when we're talking about, melon and those kind of things, and I'm saying a 1 cup serving. So every time that you have that, if you have a, say for example, you go somewhere and you get the fruit cup, and it tells you on the board or wherever you're eating that is 120 calories, and we know that there's 60 calories in a serving of fruit and 15 carbs. We know that that's 2 servings. So one is, am I getting too much, and am I getting enough? Just a piece of lettuce on your sandwich really doesn't constitute a serving of vegetables. But every time that you reach that serving, you get a cup of vegetables. That's 25 calories, 5 grams of carb, 2 protein. That'll add up. So every time, if you were to have something, likewise, if you were to have a salad somewhere and the ingredients were all vegetables, the non-starchy vegetables, lettuce, spinach, mushrooms, something like what we have here, snow peas, radishes, onions, those kind of things. If it were to tell you that the calories were 75, then you know that was 3 servings of vegetables. So one is, when you're on the Mediterranean eating pattern, you really should check, you really want to strive for that 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. So you may want to knock one out at breakfast, and that could include adding spinach or kale to a smoothie. It could include adding spinach, onions, green peppers, mushrooms to an omelet in the morning. It might just be a side of sauteed vegetables. It could, anything like that would be a great way to get that in. And of course, the fruits are easier at breakfast, but, adding a vegetable might be a nice idea too. Lower calories, it's going to add the fiber, depends which fruit you add. But it's so important to keep some of those things in mind. And then, at lunch, say, for example, you have a salad. If it's a smaller salad, like say, like our serving size right here, maybe that's 2 servings of vegetables. So when you arrive at your dinner time meal, I've already got 3 in, right? And maybe that looks like a fruit at dessert. Maybe it looks like another vegetable at dinner. And that could be like, a cup of the non-starchy vegetables, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, green beans, carrots, all of those would be an excellent choice. So, just trying to do that counting, because it doesn't just happen. You can't just say, I'm going to eat my 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. You really have to make that effort and see, if where am I? So checking in with yourself, checking in with our children, how many servings did you have already? Just trying to make sure that you get them all in there. And I highly recommend that. Some other ways, like checking with your water, keeping a little tally, or knowing how many bottles of water you drink, or how many ounces of water. If you're at home all day, maybe you have a special pitcher you'd like to use to fill that up. Or how many, sometimes people have some of these containers that they know contain 32 ounces or 64 ounces. It's really good to keep track of that. And, if you're skipping meals, and you're only eating 1 or 2 meals a day, it's hard to get everything that you need. You're really putting a lot of emphasis and a lot of unnecessary pressure on that one meal to get all of your, it's so difficult. How could you get all of your protein in at that meal? How could you get in all of your everything that you need, your protein, your calcium? It's important that we're always, looking at getting a variety of foods and in the right portion sizes, so that we're fueling our body, so that we feel our best. So whatever is going on in the world, if a certain virus, there's a flu season, that we are fueling ourselves, and that we are getting everything that we can through our food. And, if you need to supplement with vitamins, that's okay too. But trying to get everything in those food sources will really serve you well. So that concludes our class today. Again, we had the farro salad, the berry parfait with the crunch on it, the cucumber melon gazpacho, and our grilled peach and halloumi skewers with the yogurt dip, the mint yogurt dip. So I hope you tried them. All of the recipes are on laurazervos.com, along with the nutritional information, along with some photos along the way of how we prepared them, how to cut the fruit, how I grilled the skewers. And again, this could also be done in the broiler, but I didn't think we would get these beautiful grill marks on there. And I just thought it might be too hard to watch during class. So I encourage you to try them all. Again, you don't have to incorporate everything from the Mediterranean eating pattern all at once, but slowly trying to do things. Incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your pattern is a great way. Incorporating a serving of nuts is a great way. Incorporating some fermented dairy products, like we just did with the yogurt, that's a great way. So all these little things, slowly will help build up over time. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day and a great summer. And I hope that you try these and you don't heat up your kitchen. Thank you so much, and have a great day.